This is my 3D printed, GPS enabled Strandbeest. But wait, what the heck is a Strandbeest? The brainchild of Dutch inventor Theo Jansen, the Strandbeest is a kinetic walking sculpture that uses the wind to power its animal-like mechanism. From here on out, I'm just gonna call this a Strandbeest because I'm way too Canadian to keep saying Strandbeest. So how exactly does the Strandbeest work? And it was answering this question that led me down a month-and-a-half long journey of designing and 3D printing parts to bring this thing to life. It all starts with the walking mechanism. This is the path that the creature's feet walk along. In order to get this exact motion, you need a system of linkages with a very specific ratio of dimensions. This specific ratio was determined by Jansen back in the 1990s using an algorithm that was completely novel at the time. Jansen has since made this ratio public, so in his words, these things can use humans to reproduce themselves. I guess I'm bebeing used by the Strandbeest right now. If you mirror this basic mechanism and attach both sides to a crank in the middle, you end up with a single module of the walking mechanism, and this is what the entire Strandbeest is built off of. You can see that as the center crank turns, the feet alternate, moving across the surface and then lifting and being placed back down, taking one step after the other. Using motion gen, you can see that the slightest changes in geometry drastically change the output motion of this whole mechanism. If you want to play around with this mechanism, you can. Motion gen is a free web-based software, and this mechanism is part of a library of preloaded mechanisms. I've posted a link in the description below. In order to make the Strandbeest more stable, you need to add more of these modules. Then you can link each crank by an offset of 120 degrees, and then as all of them turn, you get this rolling, walking motion. And this roll is what allows Jansen's mechanisms to work completely powered by wind. Normally, Jansen uses PVC pipes to make all of his creatures, but I'm a 3D printing guy, so I'm gonna be using 3D printing to make my Strandbeest. The plan was to start with a basic passive beast. This one's fully 3D printed, and you can see that just by pushing it forward, the 120-degree offset causes the legs to roll, and you get the full walking motion. Unfortunately, the amount of wind that's required to get this thing to walk on its own would just cause the whole thing to tumble over. So I wasn't completely satisfied. Next, I created this version which uses bearings at the joints. This is to help everything move more smoothly. Instead of trying to get it to work with sails, I added a huge rotor to the back, which was connected through a gear train to a central shaft. The shaft runs through the smaller gears that drive the bigger gears that also serve as the central cranks of each module. And now when there's some wind at the back of the beast, it begins to walk. After a bit of work, I managed to get a very smooth, fully 3D printed version of this. So if you want to print this yourself, you can find the files on my website. Link is in bio. This was cool and all, but I'm a mechatronic engineer, so I still wasn't completely satisfied by this. I removed the fan and added some continuous servos to each half of the mechanism. And with a simple servo controller, I was now able to drive the beast using some electronics. Now that we have a prototype that proves you can use two motors to differentially drive a Strandbeest, if we want this to have any chance of surviving the beach of Toronto, we need to go a little bit bigger. Oh, this is where the fun begins. In this flash of crazy synchronicity, I got an email from Elegoo, who is the sponsor of this video, and they challenged me to use their Neptune Max 3 printer to make something huge. This printer has a 420mm by 420mm by 500mm build volume, so it is more than big enough to make this massive Strandbeest. But it also came with everything else that I would expect from a 3D printer these days. It has a direct drive extruder with stainless steel gears. This had no problem tugging on these massive 3kg spools that I've been using to print this whole thing. It's got auto bed leveling, which is key when you're trying to print these massive parts. You want to make sure that you have a really good first layer. No problem here. It's got this filament sensor and smart resume, which is another key feature, because when you're 47 hours into a 48-hour print, you want that peace of mind to know that if something happens, it will be able to finish the job. And it's got this textured on one side, smooth on the other side PEI sheet, which is literally the only thing I print on these days. The parts stick really well to this, but then they come off easily when it cools down. The only thing that I would have liked to see on this printer is a more powerful hot end, because it is a little bit slow, and I've gotten a little bit spoiled by some of the faster printers out on the market. But Elegoo just announced they have released the Neptune Max 4, which not only has a more powerful 300-degree hot end, but it also comes pre-installed with Clipper, which means that it can move super fast. The craziest thing about this machine, the price. Coming in at just $470, you're getting serious bang for buck with this thing. And as you can imagine, I printed a bunch of huge parts over the last couple months, including my entire last project. Can confirm, this thing is a workhorse. So after 415 hours of 3D printing, or just over 17 days, the first step was hammering bearings into all the parts. And there were a lot of bearings in this thing, but don't worry, not a single bearing was injured in the making of this video. Each part connects using an 8mm screw, which is threaded directly into the 7.75mm holes in the 3D printed parts. I used 8mm washers to separate the parts and allow them to rotate freely. Some of the links required a more intricate sandwich of washers and 3D printed spacers. The central gear crank connects to the base using the same method, and then the smaller gear slides through these big bearings. I used a 3D printed threaded ring to hold it in place. To hold the whole beast together, I used 4 8mm threaded rods. The center rod slides through these links and then through the holes in the base. And then finally, I was able to connect the drive links to the big gear. This got repeated 5 more times until I had 2 halves, each with 3 leg modules. I used a 3D printed hex shaft to connect each of the smaller gears together, ensuring that the cranks were offset 120 degrees from one another. Do you see this right now? This is crazy. And with this done, the last thing that we need to do is connect the electronics module, and that includes the GPS right here. And the reason that I decided to go with the GPS is because the plan is to give this thing a bunch of waypoints, and then I can just set this thing off on auto mode to roam across the beaches of Toronto. But before we go out to the beach, I need to get the GPS working, and for that I decided to modify a couple of the parts that I had already printed for this and make a tiny little rover that I could then test without having to move this entire thing in and out of the basement. Thanks to very detailed videos from a YouTube channel called Painless 360, this was surprisingly easy to figure out how to do. And although I was never able to get it exactly perfect, which could be in part because the accounting department cheaped out on the GPS for this project, it was good enough for our purposes, and it was time to bring this thing to the beach. Okay, we're here at Woodbine Beach in Toronto, and we're gonna set little Strandy off on his first adventure in his natural habitat. When I hit this switch right here, that means that Strandy is gonna be free to do what he wants. 1, 2, 3. In the heart of urban Toronto, a peculiar creature embarks on its daily journey. Its 3D printed legs, resembling a mechanical ballet, move with an endearing clumsiness. Each step a testament to the endless pursuit of nowhere. Equipped with the Amazon's cheapest electronics, the Toronto Strandbeest relies mostly on hope to navigate its way through the world. As bemused beachgoers gather, attempting to make sense of its mechanical movements, the local wildlife seems mostly indifferent, if not slightly annoyed, by the contraption's presence. For now, the Toronto Strandbeest trundles on, a true testament to the human ability to blend art and engineering. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, this has been a really, I have no idea what to say at this point, so I'll see you in the next video.